Welcome to the Roar Room, truth on the mic. Healing the soul, we rise and ignite. Mind, body, spirit aligned in the flame. Roar Room tribe, we roar in our name. The Roar Room. Our tribe, our truth. The lights dim, the air shifts, and every heartbeat in this room starts to sink like a drum, calling its people home. We are the ones who rise when the world gets loud. We are the ones who speak when silence tries to swallow us whole. We are the ones who walk in with fire in our chests and purpose in our bones. This is our tribe, the ones who refuse to shrink, the ones who choose courage over comfort, the ones who know that truth isn't whispered, it's roared. So step in, stand tall, let the world hear what it tried to quiet. Because in this space, in the Roar Room, we don't hide who we are. We don't dim our light, we don't apologize for our power. We speak, we rise, we roar. Our tribe, our truth.
Oh, booyah. Oh, God, something like that. Like a
A meeting.
welcome to the War Room. It is 6/8/2026. Man, it feels like yesterday I was just 6/6. Oh, it was already 6/8. As you can see, the show title is USS Remembering the USS Liberty. All right. So we had Thomas Massey go in front of on the floor and give a speech today around noon. How many people did he have there? About 14 sailors.
Yeah,
All right.
and he read. I think he came up and spoke, so maybe.
Nadine, you get any snow up there yet?
No, but it does feel like September more than it would June. It's really strange.
It's humid here. It's like it's so humid.
It feels like we're trapped in a capsule.
Yes.
You ever been inside of a container or like in the middle of summer with the doors shut and all the windows and you're inside of it and it's real hot and you just
Oh,
really
the
sit
steamy
Yeah.
stuff? Yeah.
That's how it is.
there. It
here.
feels like the guys trapped in. They had the sunblock out the last I don't know how many days.
That was every day in Florida.
As soon as you walk out, it's like
Yeah, as soon as you walk out, you gotta have a life jacket on because it's that
Yeah.
thick of.
Yeah, you're like in a freaking fishbowl. Yeah, I know. I thought I felt that for 2 years in Florida.
I haven't. Last year wasn't that humid, was it?
No.
It's like extreme.
So what they're doing is it's raining, and they're blocking the sun, and which creates that whenever the water does get kind of sucked up, it's trapped and just kind of like stays stuck, right? I don't know. I'm guessing the water isn't able to rise past a certain point in the sky. It's just kind of like trapped.
It's much.
That's what it feels like. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like last summer or whenever, you could actually look at the sun and you could look at it. Now you can't even look up.
I can't even see it now because it's the clouds.
Oh, those bunch of freaks, whatever they're doing.
My plants are doing okay, but
But he
it
said
can't
his
go
pants.
too long without. The plants can't go too long without the sun. So
Oh, I thought you said your pants. I thought you were so soggy you were taking.
what
That's that southern talk. No, no, I thought you said your pants are doing okay. I was
plants?
like, okay, well, I thought maybe you just get hot.
I don't wear pants
Oh dear.
in the summer down here in Texas.
Yeah, it's too hot.
Yeah,
Only in the wintertime.
no
Wow.
pants in the summer in Texas.
Bud had his T-shirt on just the other day, just so that he wouldn't get ticks. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it was like 70, 60. Yeah, I left his T-shirt on so that he didn't get any ticks on him because he likes to roll around on his back in the grass.
Well, we found out we have American beauties that grow wild right here by us.
Mhm.
I just found a video of this. It says that the leaves, you crush them and you apply it all over your skin and your animals, and it prevents ticks
All
and
right.
fleas and mosquitoes.
I'll have to look at what it looks like. American
Okay.
Beauty. Thank you.
American beauties,
Yeah, they're little pink berries in the side of the.
like a pinkish
You'll
purple.
see them growing in groups. You got that clip? So you brought it up. Now I got to show it. So
I
because
sent it to
everybody's going to be. We'll do the American Beauties and then we'll get into the USS Liberty. Since we brought it up, we'll do the medicinal part first. That's
I sent it to you.
is it on YouTube or something?
Yeah, YouTube.
Did I save it? I think it was
I'll find
today.
it.
Was it? Yeah, right here. I got it.
You
The
got it?
plant that repels mosquitoes.
Mhm.
Here, check this out.
That's they're like
Yeah.
purplish, hot pink looking. They make really good jelly.
There it is. These right here is what you're going to look for. They're abundant in your area. You just ain't noticed them or you didn't know.
Oh,
But
I
once
thought they were poison.
Mm-hmm.
Gee.
no, that's not it. Hold on. We'll get to it. I'll show you.
They're like a hot pink, purplish.
I'll show you. Hold on, right here.
Yeah,
See
right
these?
there.
That's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think
Jelly.
I have
1,
those.
2,
And you
3.
can make jelly with the berries.
Yeah,
And it's really good.
they'll be around here in a few months. They're not around right now, but the plants are
Leaves
growing.
and
They're going to fruit here in a little bit. I'm on year 3 of collecting these, so I kind of have an idea of when they come around. Yeah, most of the stuff they told us was poisonous. Don't eat them.
Yeah, I still have to forget some of that stuff, or just look into it instead of not forget it because it might be true.
Yeah, these right here.
Fence row and pulled out a defense his family had leaned on for generations. What nobody standing in that yard could have known was that, a few hundred miles away, the United States government was about to spend years and test more than 40,000 chemicals chasing the very thing already growing in his hedge.
So that's the elderberries, or the American Beauties, sorry. Just look along the tree line, you'll see it. They stick out like this. I mean, it's pretty obvious. They're not
All right, I'll look for them. Thank
pink
you.
berries that look like a pink color. They stick out. Like if you got them, you got them. If you don't, you'll. But I'll let you know when I start seeing them. Maybe you can start looking for them. But you have a different. You're upstate New York, so it's a little different up there
Yeah.
because of the weather.
Did you have a friend on the Liberty? I had a friend on the Liberty. They tried to sink her to the bottom of the sea. She kept on floating into history. Unmarked jets flew down from the sky and shot up our ship and nobody knew why. A torpedo boat blew a hole in her side. A lot of sailors hurt and 34 died. Come to find out it was part of a plan. They'd sink our ship, she'd go down with all hands. Blame it on Egypt to trick us in a war. The trick didn't work, the crew showed them what's for. Did you have a friend on the Liberty? I had a friend on the Liberty who tried to sink her. It was Israelis, but she kept on floating into history. Oh, LBJ was the president who told us all that was an accident. And now he got traitors like John McCain, whose daddy was a man who covered up the shame. Oh, John McCain. Did you have a friend on the Liberty? I had a friend on the Liberty who tried to sink her. It was Israelis. She kept on floating into history. Did you have a friend on the Liberty? I had a friend on the Liberty. They tried to sink her, those Israelis. She kept on floating into history. Liberty. USS 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 Liberty. USS
There we go, right? Remembering the sailors aboard the USS Liberty today. I think it's 57 years since. Right. So on the anniversary, we had Thomas Massey meet with the survivors. There weren't supposed to be any survivors. They attacked their communications first. When they came in, they tried to cut their communications in. And then they also blocked their radars, some of the radar that their stress radars, stress signals. So they committed, I think, war crimes, pretty much, because they ignored international law. But word on the street is Iran did it. That's a joke. Ha ha ha. Yeah. But here we are, Thomas Massey today, meeting with the survivors. I went to if you go to USS Liberty on X, you'll see they had posted what they had posted today. Let me get my screen back up here. Here's one of the pieces that I screenshotted. Condemn the IDF machine gunning USS Liberty life rafts. Also, that's another thing. They were trying to kill all of even the people in the rafts. So they didn't just attack the ship, they bombed the life rafts. They blew them out of the water.
Wow.
So what do? They use it as a false flag to what did Netanyahu say? Sometimes you got to bomb countries into war. So what was going on is they were spying on the whole, or not spying, they were keeping an eye on the war. And Israel doesn't like being spied on. So that's the only country that we're not allowed to spy on. Did you know that?
No, but I spy on the Wailing Wall.
Oh yeah, I can see those. Yeah.
That's the only country we're not allowed to spy on for some reason. And I think this was the shot across the bow, no pun, right?
Right.
to let them know, don't come over here with that shit. And we're willing to sink your ships and commit international law with war crimes for doing so. So here we have Thomas Massey.
Speaker, it's my great honor, maybe one of the biggest honors of my lifetime, to stand here on the floor and do something that's 59 years overdue, to recognize
59. I said 57.
the survivors and those who gave their lives on the USS Liberty 59 years ago today, when they were viciously attacked by IDF jets, and also after that by torpedo boats. I'm going to tell you a little bit of their story. And by the way, there's at least a dozen of them here today with us. I just met with them in my office, and they related this story to me. You know, it was a clear day. The USS Liberty was one of the most technologically sophisticated ships in the Navy, but it was virtually unarmed, and it was sent to observe the six-day war going on in the Middle East between Israel and its neighbors. It arrived on June 7th, and the weather was clear. The planes came out to meet them, to investigate, and then on the next day, on June 8th, they started the day. The visibility was unlimited. The American flag was flying proudly on the USS Liberty. More planes came from Israel to surveil the boat, the ship. And they thought they were in good shape, but what happened next surprised them all. French Mirage jets showed up, and for 25 minutes, strafed and attacked the USS Liberty. They shot rockets. They shot 30-millimeter cannons into the hull and into the ship. They even dropped napalm on the bridge of the ship. This was an effort to kill everybody on board. There was no intention of taking prisoners. After the 25 grueling minutes of attack on this virtually unarmed ship, and they thought things were over and they could recover, the torpedo boats showed up, 3 torpedo boats. They launched 4 torpedoes. One of them hit the hull of the USS Liberty and killed 25 people instantly. It blew a 40-foot by 40-foot hole in the side of this ship. They were intent on sinking it. But they were also intent on not having a single survivor. According to eyewitness accounts, the Israelis machine-gunned the lifeboats that they put down. They machine-gunned the firefighters who were on the deck. They were bringing the wounded and the dead to the mess hall to triage them. They had one doctor who was trying to help them all, put a few stitches in. It was harrowing, and it's amazing. If not for that crew, that boat would have sunk that day. But it still wasn't over. Helicopters showed up, combat helicopters. And the USS Liberty, even though their signals were being jammed by the Israelis, got a signal out. And there were ships that tried to respond. The USS Saratoga, the USS America sent planes. Both of them sent planes to help the USS Liberty. And something happened that's never happened before. A ship under attack, the planes were recalled. This has never happened before. And they sat there for 17 hours. 34 dead, 174 wounded, out of 294 crew members. That's over 70% casualty rate, unheard of. The Israelis were intent on leaving no survivor. And what about our own military? Why did they not send anybody for 17 hours to help these men? So what really happened?
Doesn't it sound like October 7th when they didn't send anybody in to help the people? They just sat back and let October 7th take place. Y'all remember that? It seems to be a pattern.
Yeah.
Happened? You know, the official reports say that it was a case of mistaken identity. But if you listen to Dean Rusk, former Secretary of State, Richard Helms, CIA Director, Bobby Ray Inman, head of the NSA, Captain Ward Boston, who was the chief counsel of the Court of Inquiry. If you listen to Admiral Moore, who served in Pearl Harbor, Midway, commanded both the Atlantic and Pacific Fleet, and was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. None of these distinguished men think this was an accident. They think it was intentional murder by the country of Israel, either as a false flag operation or because they simply didn't want anybody observing what they were doing that day. Well, I've got a call to action for everybody here. Honor these individuals. Quit ignoring that they exist. Go to their website, ussliberty.org. Support them. And while they're still alive, they need closure. Let's give them closure. Let's have an investigation. Let's pass a resolution honoring them. It's long overdue. And then they can have their justice. With that, I yield back. And I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a declaration of Ward, Boston, declaring that the only official court of inquiry was invalid.
Without objection, so ordered.
I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. The chair now recognizes
Standing ovation there. So that was today, on the anniversary, 59th anniversary.
The USS Liberty was a floating sea. Let's talk about our greatest ally. The USS Liberty was a floating CIA intelligence gathering platform, monitoring all transmissions from all sources involved in the 1967 Six-Day War, which was flying a US flag. We will jump into that in a moment. Israeli air and naval assets attacked the USS Liberty on June 8th, killing 34 Americans and wounding 172. Lyndon B. Johnson and the Israeli government blamed it on misidentification. The most interesting part is Israeli aircrafts did a flyby before the attack and confirmed it was an American ship, but still continued. So even with the USS Liberty communications being destroyed, they were manually able to get out transmissions or a broadcast for help. So of course, the US sent out Phantoms en route, not to get involved in the war, but strictly to aid the USS Liberty. But when the Phantoms were just minutes away, it is reported that Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara mysteriously had them recalled. The only way the Secretary of Defense could do that is with the president's authority. So Johnson knew the truth and he was a part of it. So then after the Phantoms were recalled, Israelis then launched their napalm and canister bomb aircrafts to strike. Also 3 motor torpedo boats, which launched 6 torpedoes at the USS Liberty. 5 failed to hit the target, but unfortunately the one that did hit ended up killing 25 US men and wounded many more. There were questions that were never answered. For instance, why was the Israeli jets not marked, bearing no Israeli symbols, carrying no national identification, which is a violation of international law? Then get this, 3 lifeboats were deployed, of course to get off the burning ship, but then the torpedo boats focused their fire on the lifeboats. They destroyed 2 of the lifeboats and also continuously swept the deck to kill as many men as they could to prevent evacuation. That act alone is a violation of the Geneva Convention. Now get this, after the attack, the US soldiers were even instructed not to give any interviews, not to talk to anyone, even amongst each other. Otherwise they would face court-martial and prison, or worse, for violating national security. And guess what? No justice has ever come from this situation. People still say it's mistaken identity, which I would rate a 9 out of 11.
But wait, there's more.
It's not our greatest ally, they are our worst deadly enemy. And what I would like to do now is to read the names of the 34 American servicemen who were murdered by Israel on board the USS Liberty in 1967. So William Allenbow, Philip McArmstrong, Gary Blanchard, Alan Blue, Francis Brown, Ronnie Campbell, Jerry Converse, Robert Eisenberg, Jerry Goss, Curtis Graves, Lawrence Hayden, Warren Hersey, Alan Higgins, Carl Hoar, Richard Keene, James Lanau, Raymond Lynn, James Lupton, Dwayne Margraf, David Marlborough, Anthony Mendel, Carl Nygren, James Pierce, Jack Rapar, Edward Raymeyer, David Skolak, John Smith, Melvin Smith, John Spicker, Alexander Thompson, Thomas Thornton, Philip Teitke, Stephen S. Toth, Frederick Walton. The moment of silence, please, for our American heroes who were murdered by the outlaw state of Israel.
Thank you for showing that.
U.S. government covered it up, caught it on.
Oh,
Yeah.
got the.
The Zionists attacked an American ship, and the U.S. government covered it up for them. 34 Americans dead, hundreds left bleeding. Israel attacked the Liberty, knew exactly what they were doing. U.S. government covered it up, caught it a mistake. Sold out their own sailors so the Zionists could escape. 1967, ship sitting in international waters. Israeli jets came in and turned it into a slaughter. They identified it as American flag was flying clear, but they kept attacking for hours like they had no fear. Then Washington stepped in and buried the truth. LBJ and his people protecting the Zionist move. No real investigation, no justice, no blame. Just another example of who really runs the game. 34 Americans dead, hundreds left bleeding. Israel attacked the Liberty, knew exactly what they were doing. U.S. government covered it up, caught it a mistake. Sold out their young sailors so the Zionists could escape. Sacred defense. We see who really runs things. We see the cover up. United States of Israel. Sacred defense.
Fire, huh?
It was a mistake, guys. That's all. That's all. It's a mistake.
Or was that a really bad one?
It would be rough to be in that position to not be able to. They tell you not to. I know damn well I would not be able to not say something, but as soon as you said something, people would say you're crazy. You're full. Like there aren't as many people awake.
If they believed you back then, they would kill you.
Yeah.
Bro.
So that's why a lot of people wrote books.
So here we have went directly to the USS Liberty Veterans Association on X, and they're giving a warning that this could happen again.
Yeah, and Exbeth was doing the workout thing again, right?
Yeah, remember I told you Hexeth works out and then something happens
Yes.
a few days later. Yeah, so Hexeth was working out on the ship. He was looking retarded out there doing it. But anyways.
Yeah, I think that was just the beginning of last week you were saying that.
Yeah, I said something's coming with the military. I don't know what. They're going to be doing something, but then Iran and Israel bombing each other, allegedly. So the IDF got away with it once. Will they do it again? Stay tuned. With the current situation in the Middle East, it is not outside of the realm of possibility that the IDF could target a U.S. Navy ship, claim a mistaken identity, and have the U.S. government allow that attack and included war crimes to be committed with impunity like the U.S. government did when the IDF attacked us. Or, as with the attack on the USS Liberty, have the U.S. Navy conduct a sham investigation that has been condemned by the U.S. Navy Judge Advocate General. And here we got these compromised Zionists right here. There's been no better teammate than Israel. This has to be like a shaming ritual or something. It can't be this retarded. These are all so this is from sitcom chief Brad Israel Cooper and Pete Cakeseth. They call him Cakeseth. I guess the leftists call him Cakeseth. And they did. The towers fell. Yeah, the towers fell to cover that up as well. Starting to see a pattern here. I went ahead and followed them on here. That's from the USS Liberty's Veterans Association's account. Also, they have Massey on here. While we deeply appreciate your comment, please know that the disdain Congress and the U.S. government has shown up to us and to our fallen shipmates as a reflection on them, not on us. And it only serves to reinforce our determination to ensure truth about the attack and cover up, as well as the sacrifice of the lives of our 34 fallen shipmates is made known officially to the American people. You can visit the USS Liberty. There's ussliberty.org. Link as well. Here we have from the USS Liberty Veterans Association. And to think, if the U.S. government had investigated the attack when it happened, we wouldn't be here talking about it today.
No.
We wouldn't have uncovered Representative Don Bacon's hatred of the U.S. Navy. Not to mention the contempt Congress has shown to U.S. Liberty survivors. Visit the new USS Liberty Veterans website at ussliberty.org. This is Bacon right here. I guess he doesn't like the U.S. Navy. Oh, Don Bacon. Is that a made-up name?
Sounds like it.
I bet it's not even his real name. I'll have to look into Don Bacon here. So there's Don Bacon. So that's what I showed earlier. And we go down here. Here's Massey sitting with the. I just played that clip. All right, so this is hot off the press. It's hot and heavy.
Ever heard this story. Why? On June 8th, 1967, the USS Liberty was off the coast of Egypt. Calm seas, clear skies, the American flag waving in the air. Then, without warning, a plane flashed overhead, and America's closest ally opened fire. Planes and boats bombarded the Liberty for over an hour. Torpedoes, fires, even the lifeboats were shot to shreds. 34 Americans killed, 171 wounded. That's 2/3 of the crew. The deadliest attack on a U.S. ship since World War II. And it was done by Israel. Survivors say they were pushed to stay quiet, despite what to them felt like overwhelming evidence that something else was going on. A cover-up, they feared, was happening the second the first weapon was shot. The official story? A tragic accident. But behind closed doors, even high-ranking U.S. officials didn't buy it. A top advisor for President Lyndon B. Johnson said it was inconceivable that it all was just an accident. But what did the U.S. do publicly? Not much. There's been one main investigation focused on the attack in the decades since. It lasted just over a week, ending 10 days after the attack. And even that investigation was allegedly doomed from the start. Ward Boston, a Navy attorney who helped lead that very investigation, said it was cut short, despite the fact that they would have needed months to conduct it properly. He said they actually believed the attack was deliberate, but they were directed to rewrite parts of their findings and to not speak of the attack again. 58 years later, survivors still demand answers, while many Americans still have no idea this even happened. But with each year that passes, more survivors pass away. The calls get quieter and quieter. If any other country had done this, would the US have just moved on? Instead, the Israeli government has continued to kill Americans. Aid workers, journalists, even young people protesting Israel's illegal settlements in Palestine. 34 Americans killed, 171 wounded, and the US has barely touched its since. Why?
Because of who's involved. You know,
Most Americans
it's the same nobody that is involved in every other open and closed case. Right? We can go back decades. We can start with JFK if you'd like. So here's more clips. This is Philip Turney, former U.S. Navy petty officer and survivor of the USS Liberty attack. We don't control our country. The Zionist state does. All right, guys. And that's being made clear with the 224. It's trying to be passed by Congress to merge our military with their military so that we never get out of these endless wars. Here we go.
Israel controls us. They control the Congress. They control the Senate. They control our money. We don't control our country. The Zionist state does. We've ceded our power to a foreign country. We don't need presidents to send our young men and women into war, all for the sake of the Zionist state. I'm tired of it. This whole country should be tired of it. Our passionate attachment to the Zionist state has got to stop. Israel controls us.
10-4, y'all need be any more clear?
No. That's
It's not a
clear.
conspiracy theory.
No.
You can tell who's in charge by who you can't talk about,
Yeah.
right? It's not a conspiracy theory. It's facts. It's being shown on the world stage as we speak for all to see. Some you got to show.
Sheepdog, do a lot of the veterans know this, or do they just stay quiet? Like they usually don't talk much, like they'll get together and talk together, but they don't usually talk much, So do they know, or do they just?
No, we didn't. Like, I was a sailor, so I never heard about the Liberty being attacked, and that's what blows me away.
It's because they couldn't talk about it.
Now I heard about the forestall with John McCain, because freaking John McCain blew up the ship, the forestall, right? His bombs just went off on the flight deck, and then hundreds of sailors lost their lives. All right. Freaking John McCain, he was also a prisoner of war. And he also had a part in this Liberty thing, and he said his dad was part of the cover-up. I was covering that.
He said.
No name McCain. So that's what they show us on the ships and the military. They show us for firefighting purposes, because what happened was the firefighters were taken out. Well, guess what? If the rest of the ship isn't trained in firefighting, that's what causes these issues on the ship. So every one of us have to be trained in firefighting. Aboard ship firefighting, CPR. Yeah, because of that incident on the forestall. Now the Liberty, they never talked about. Never.
There could be too many questions to ask, probably. We covered it up, right? So,
Yeah, they wouldn't tell us that because we were in the middle of being Israel's bitch in Iraq, Afghanistan, and everywhere else, and let
that's right.
the intelligence agencies that gave Congress bad intelligence saying that they had weapons of mass destruction, and they didn't. That was Netanyahu. And then we fast forward to Iran has nukes. Lie. Right. To justify the bullshit. Equals bad intelligence, Israeli intelligence. That's who's in Trump's ear. That's why he did a 180. Remember, he said he didn't promise no new wars. No wars, none of that. Now today he's talking about was that yesterday? No, the other from an interview. We'll get into that about that here in a minute, but stay focused right here on this USS Liberty. Now, so we're gonna. I have a few interviews, long ones. I'm gonna put in the chat. Here, let me get because I'm not. They're like 30-minute interviews from the survivors. I got the Forgotten History clip. I'll play that real quick. It's only like a few minutes, but it breaks it down real quick. Here it is, right here. Let me go back to this though, so in case you just hopped on.
Israel controls us. They control the Congress. They control the Senate. They control our money. We don't control our country. The Zionist state does. We've ceded our power to a foreign country. We don't need presidents to send our young men and women into war, all for the sake of the Zionist state. I'm tired of it. This whole country should be tired of it. Our passionate attachment to the Zionist state has got to stop.
Yeah, it was Politico that put out, Trump says he never promised no new wars. That just happened today.
Yeah.
That's funny because I have all the clips that says that he, like 50 clips or 100 clips, a couple hundred clips of him saying, yeah, look at all of his rallies. That's why people voted for him.
He said that
If he'd have ran on, I'm going to bomb the shit out of Iran for Israel, nobody would have voted for him. Go ahead.
he said there were other wars because of stupid people. Yeah, like Vietnam War lasted 19 years because of stupid people.
What has that got to do with the freaking today?
Because he just wants to gaslight every. You know how many times
There
I've
you go.
written,
Thank you.
stop gaslighting everybody? I keep on writing that, but people still.
On June 6, 1967, Israeli Air Force fighters attacked Egyptian air bases, destroying 80% of their air assets. By June 7th, the air forces of Jordan and Syria were also destroyed, mostly on the ground, but the war was being monitored. The United States and other nations had a vested interest in what was transpiring in the Middle East, and gathering intelligence was critical for both political and strategic military planning. What was the USS Liberty? Why was it in the Eastern Mediterranean Sea during the Six-Day War? Why did Israeli air and naval forces attack an American ship? Why was so much effort put into the cover-up after the event?
Hello, I'm Colin Heaton, a veteran of the United States Army and Marine Corps, former history professor, book author, and welcome to this episode.
We know why there was so much effort put into the cover-up. LBJ, he goes all the way to Israel, back to Israel. He even looks like that lady, the Prime Minister of Israel, the lady, what's her name?
Yeah.
I can't remember her name. But if that's
Looks
not
just
him,
like-
and if that's not him in drag, then that's his mom or grandma.
Seriously.
But they look just alike. But LBJ's loyalty was to Israel. That's what happened to JFK. That's why on 11/22/1963.
All kissed the wall but JFK.
JFK didn't kiss the wall. LBJ kissed the wall and licked the boots. Their loyalty was to another country this whole time. They pretend to be country boys, oil tycoons, and this, that, and the other. Good old boys. But in reality, that's not the case.
Israeli progress was followed as well as the Arab coalition of Egypt, Syria, and Jordan, known as the United Arab Republic. As a result, Israel secured Sinai, all of Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights. But Israeli intelligence had reported to Chief of Israeli Naval Operations, Admiral Issi Rahar, that a ship had fired upon El Arish in Sinai. This was proven to be a ruse. The only ship in that area was the USS Liberty, which flew the U.S. flag and was in international waters. In what was described by both President Lyndon B. Johnson and the Israeli government as a case of mistaken identity, Israeli air and naval assets attacked the USS Liberty on June 8th, killing 34 Americans and wounding 172 of the 294-man crew. Previously, the United States had announced that it had no naval forces within hundreds of miles of the battlefront on the floor of the United Nations a few days earlier. However, the USS Liberty was assigned to monitor the fighting. As a result of a series of United States communication failures, whereby messages directing the ship not to approach within 100 miles were not received by the Liberty, the ship sailed to within 14 miles off the Sinai coast. Also notified of the supposed attack upon El Arish were Colonel Shmuel Kislev, head of Israeli Air Force operations, and General Yeshayahu Benket, the head of Israeli Air Force intelligence. Kislev told his pilots that, quote, if they could confirm that it was a military ship, they could hit it, end quote. The naval contingent was also on the alert. Benecat wanted to have positive identification of the ship that may have been involved. Israeli Dassault Mirage fighters passed by and gave their report. The flight leader confirmed that it was an American ship. More Israeli fighters attacked at 14:05 hours for 20 minutes, firing cannons, machine guns, and rockets, and one report from the first pilot who hit the ship stated that oil was leaking. During that time, on board Liberty, radioman Terry Halbardier and Glenn Oliphant followed the captain's order and broadcast in the clear that they were under attack by unknown forces and needed assistance, but their communications antennae were then damaged. They performed a manual repair and began transmitting in the open as their secure channel was being jammed. The Sixth Fleet received the SOS and informed the commander of the carrier task force on board the USS Saratoga, Captain Joseph Tully, who called and launched 12 F-4 Phantom fighters to assist Liberty. And the hotline between Washington, D.C. and Moscow was activated. Moscow was informed that American aircraft were being launched only to surmise the situation regarding the Liberty, not to get involved in the war. But as the Phantoms were en route just minutes away from saving the Liberty, it was reported that Secretary of Defense Robert Strange McNamara mysteriously had them recalled. The only way a SecDef could do that was by presidential authority. Johnson knew the truth, and he was part of the problem. The next wave of Israeli aircraft arrived after the Phantoms returned to the Saratoga, and these were Dassault Super Mysteers with napalm and canister bombs. One pilot called out the ship's identification as Charlie Tango Romeo 5, and that there is no flag on her. This was a strange report, as the previous recon flight clearly stated that there was an American flag, and the ship was identified as such. It is believed that this call was made as a ruse to cover the Israelis should these attacks be recorded by third parties. When that transmission was made, Colonel Kislev ordered all aircraft to stop the attack, as he believed that the ship was, in fact, American from the call sign. But the Israeli commander of the torpedo boat squadron, Moshe Oren, stated that he was not informed that there was a recall from an attack, and was informed, in fact, that it was the Egyptian freighter, the El Qasir. Therefore, he launched 3 motor torpedo boats. The order to halt all attacks, which followed the second wave of fighters, was supposedly not received by the naval assets, whose 3 torpedo boats launched 6 torpedoes at the Liberty, with 5 failing to hit target. But the one that did contact killed 25 men and wounded many more. This account is in great dispute. However, the Israeli argument of misidentification fails for several reasons, one being that if they believed it was an Egyptian ship, why did they specifically jam the secure American radio frequency, which were specifically narrow bands? Another problem was the identification issue in that the Liberty, at 10,150 tons, was 5 times larger than the ship they claimed to have mistaken for the Liberty. Both ships had totally different profiles. In addition, if the attack was a simple error, why were the Israeli jets unmarked, bearing no Israeli symbols, carrying no national identification, in violation of international law? Had the F-4 Phantoms from the Saratoga not been recalled, the torpedo boats would not have been able to engage, and the majority of the men would not have been killed and wounded. The official American position was that Israel called and said that they had recognized their mistake and the attack was over. So therefore, in response, McNamara recalled the jets. However, the attacks were then renewed for another 80 minutes. This was a strange development, since the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv reported that the Israelis had attacked the ship, but the nationality of the ship was yet undetermined by Israel. If this was true, how would McNamara know to recall the Phantoms, and that it was in fact the Liberty? The SOS was resent after the damaged antenna was repaired again, and it was picked up this time by the aircraft carrier USS America, and 2 ships were dispatched. 3 life rafts were deployed so men could get off the burning ship, but the torpedo boats focused their fire, destroying 2 of the life rafts and sweeping the decks to kill as many men as they could to prevent an evacuation. That act alone is a violation of the Geneva Convention, not to mention attacking a ship from a non-belligerent nation in international waters. Another strange development was when, after the 2-hour attack, the ship and crew headed to Malta, the Sixth Fleet commander, Rear Admiral Isaac Kidd, ordered the survivors to remove the ship's name from their uniforms. In fact, Admiral Kidd even ordered them to go ashore in civilian clothes, which the men were not supposed to have anyway. They were also told to grant no interviews and do not discuss the situation, even among each other. Otherwise, they would face court-martial and prison, or, even worse, for violating national security. Both Israelis and Americans involved had their opinions on what happened and why. One voice was that of Navy Captain Dr. Richard Kiefer, who was wounded badly himself, but worked for 28 hours straight saving lives when he could. He received the Silver Star. Captain William McConaughey received the Medal of Honor for his efforts following the 13 repetitious attacks after his bridge crew were killed, himself badly wounded, his recollection was that the aircraft hit the ship from every direction in multiple waves. Since the attack involved the Israeli Air Force and Navy, that made it a combined arms attack, meaning that it was coordinated, which also meant that command authority came from the seat of government. The military did not simply attack an unknown ship in international waters, let alone an American ship, without orders. All the crew believed the ship was clearly identified as American, as there were reconnaissance aircraft that passed by close enough for the crew to look into the cockpits. Several high-ranking American military and political persons knew at that time that the attack was deliberate. The question was why. The cover-up was incredible. For example, the press was given limited information to downplay the event. The men were sworn to secrecy, and the Judge Advocate General of the Navy, Admiral Merlin Starling, was given only 24 hours to review the 600-page Court of Inquiry investigation report. He had great reservations about the veracity of the report. In fact, the Navy inquiry did not allow any testimony or evidence regarding the unmarked Israeli aircraft. No information was included about the life rafts that were shot up, or the electronic transmission jamming, or even McNamara's recall of the American fighters. This was the first and only time in U.S. history that a board of inquiry refused to accept testimony from American service members who survived an attack and only accepted the statements of the forces that had attacked them. Bill LeMay, a crewman, was given the name tag Smith, removed from a hospital ward with a dozen other patients and placed into a single room. A naval officer soon entered and told him that his name was now Smith, that he was never on the Liberty, and he was never to discuss the matter. In another completely absurd and totally insane turn of events, the Senate records, as well as the Medal of Honor Society, recorded that Captain McGonigal's Medal of Honor was earned in Vietnam, not off the Sinai Peninsula. His Medal of Honor citation mentions no specific geographic location and does not mention who the enemy was. Also, this ship's log was also altered to fit the Israeli timeline, supporting that only after 20 minutes of engagement, the ship was attacked for a total of 50 minutes and not 2 hours, breaking up contact after they realized their error. This was obviously not true. But why the cover-up? Why the attack? Over the years, logic mandates that the Israelis knew that the Liberty was a communications gathering spy ship and would be listening in on all communications, Arab and Israeli. Their push into the Golan Heights, as well as their attack in the Sinai, would have been recorded in real time by the Liberty. In fact, the director of the National Security Agency, Marshall Carter, stated that he believed the attack was deliberate so that Israel could maintain the secrecy of their operations. Sinking the ship and killing all on board was the only way for Israel to have accomplished that mission. The CIA transcripts were handed to the American ambassador in Lebanon at that time. The transcripts clearly show that the pilots, upon reaching Liberty, reported that it was an American ship. Their war room ordered them to attack. Again, the flight commander repeated his warning that the ship was American. Again, he was told, "You have your orders," and the attack started. These reports were also supported by an EC-121 airborne surveillance aircraft operated by the National Security Agency, which also recorded these transmissions, confirming that Israel knew the ship was American. They even stated in their own radio transmissions that they saw the flag. And this was true for both the air and naval assets involved in the attack, contradicting their official statements. What came to light later was the justification for sinking the Liberty and killing the crew. Moshe Dayan, the commander-in-chief of Israeli forces, had ordered the attack. This was due to the fact that Israeli commanders in the field were authorized to execute Egyptian prisoners of war rather than lose time transporting and securing them. Israeli military historian Uri Milstein claimed that there were many incidents in the 1967 war in which Egyptian soldiers were killed by Israeli troops after they had raised their hands in surrender. It was not an official policy, but there was an atmosphere that it was okay to do it, Milstein said. Some commanders decided to do it, others refused, but everyone knew about it. Declassified Israeli Defense Force documents show that on June 11, 1967, the operations branch of the General Staff felt it necessary to issue new orders concerning the treatment of prisoners. The order read that, because existing orders were contradictory, thus, 1. Soldiers and civilians who surrendered were not to be hurt by any means. 2. Soldiers and civilians who possessed a weapon and failed to surrender would be killed. However, soldiers caught disobeying the order by killing prisoners would be severely punished. Now, this appears to be damage control and could only have been issued from Dayan due to the Israeli knowledge that they did not destroy the Liberty and that intercept transmissions could prove these criminal actions. This appears to be a classic case of covering their collective rear ends. If this information were to have gotten out, it would prove that Israel was committing war crimes, and the Liberty was a known intelligence gathering source. Israel's legitimacy was already in question since they launched the preemptive strike on Arab airfields, as their intelligence supposedly had information that the Arab forces were preparing to launch attacks against Israel. American officials at the highest level would have known this, including President Johnson and Robert McNamara. It does not take a great stretch of logic to understand why the cover-up took place, and from where it originated. The United States could not afford to have its great ally Israel accused of war crimes. The USA and NATO also had great interest in seeing the Israelis win, because a victory would reduce the effectiveness of the influence the Soviet Union had with the United Arab Republic, which was the coalition of Jordan, Syria, and Egypt. It would also hopefully reduce the interest of Saudi Arabia in funding the United Arab Republic, triumvirate, if their efforts seemed to be a lost cause. An Israeli victory would have also ensured that the Suez Canal would remain open, which benefited the USA and NATO. The U.S. had good reasons for a cover-up. There are contradictory reports available where U.S. officials claimed to have debunked the murders of Egyptian POWs as the reason for the attack, supporting the Israeli attack as mistaken identity. That is also part of the cover-up, because later, murdered Egyptian soldiers were found in shallow graves, and the Israeli government offered reparations to the families of the men who were identified. In May 1968, the Israeli government paid $3.32 million US dollars, the equivalent of $28 million in 2022, to the U.S. government in compensation for the families of the 34 men killed in the attack. In March 1969, Israel paid a further $3.57 million, or $28.5 million in 2022, to the men who had been wounded. In December 1980, it agreed to pay $6 million, or $21.3 million in 2022 money, as the final settlement for material damage to Liberty itself, plus 13 years of interest. Several prominent Americans, generals, admirals, and even Medal of Honor recipients, as well as the surviving crew, have asked for a full congressional investigation into the attack and the cover-up for decades. Personally, I doubt that will ever happen.
Thank you for watching Forgotten History. Please click like, subscribe, and share.
Link out Forgotten History.
Right? I don't think it's going to happen
This was done 3 years ago.
with our government, but like that kid was saying at that town meeting, right?
Right.
The Hague could get involved, right?
It's war crimes, is it?
War crimes.
You know what I mean?
And if our government's not going to do anything about it, anything,
Well, that's like
someone's going to have to. This will just keep on going
ain't going.
forever, and keep having wars and wars.
To get us further and further away of what's inevitable, and that's the people waking up to the truth of what's taking place all these decades after, even after JFK, maybe before that, right? Dating all the way back to the establishment of the state of Israel. There we go. Yeah, so here is another piece I want to share right here. This is pretty telling. From the Sean Ryan show, so just a couple of minutes. Maybe talk about the USS Liberty. And then we'll get into the rest of the topics for tonight. Should be pretty interesting. With the Pentagon raised the threat of Israeli spying on U.S. the highest level yesterday, sources say. So a lot taking place. They said they would save Israel for last, so I wonder if this is what they were talking about.
Do you know anything about the USS Liberty?
I think because the anti-Semitism, calling people anti-Semitic thing isn't working anymore. It like carries no weight like when it
Probably.
used to. Like,
Yeah, it used to be a shame kind of thing, and then they would. People are just debunk it with facts now. It's like fact. Here's my receipt. So it's not the same shame kind of thing anymore.
facts matter.
Yeah.
What happened there?
You,
Do you know anything about the USS Liberty?
yeah.
What happened there?
The USS Liberty was a intelligence gathering ship off the coast of Egypt. Long story short, Israel bombed it, killed Americans. They said, we made a mistake. We thought it was an Egyptian ship.
Looks nothing like an Egyptian ship. It was flying American flags. Israeli jets flew over it 2 or 3 times to identify it. It is, again, anybody could have identified it as an American ship. There was no question. And then they bombed it. They strafed it, dropped bombs on it. The American ship called and said for help and said, we need help. We're being attacked. Aircraft were sent from, I don't remember, American aircraft were sent to go help and then called back. And later, and then called back. And later it was said, well, we didn't want to embarrass our ally. Israelis say, yeah, it was a mistake. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Well, this was right before Israel was going to attack. Let me think. Israel had an attack planned and they didn't want people knowing it. And the USS Liberty was an intelligence gathering ship. They didn't want us being able to broadcast anything or tell anybody anything. So they attacked our own ship. They killed Americans. And then when they said, sorry, we just accepted it. And went, yeah, it's a tragedy. We're sorry.
Holy shit. When was this?
Oh, God, this was 60 something. I don't remember for sure. But again, anybody can look up USS Liberty. There's been books written about it. There's been whole books written about this.
It just popped up on my radar recently.
Yeah. Yeah. There are so many incidents like this. So that, by the way, is the one and only time in history that another country has directly attacked a United States vessel, and there's been no repercussion. Every other time somebody has attacked an American vessel, we have a response attack. None with Israel. We just...
Y'all hear that? Any other time there's a response? Not this one.
Kind of wrote it off. And now you're going to get me on a roll here. Tucker Carlson, you work with him. You've interviewed him. He did an interview with Mike Huckabee, right? Did you see that interview?
I had to turn it off.
Right? You start watching it and you're like, who are you representing? He kept saying things like, well, our borders. I'm like, you mean Israel's borders? You're representing the United States. What do you mean our borders? And then Tucker asked him, well, the Israelis believe in this larger Israel, which we discussed before, where they need to take part of Saudi Arabia and part of Syria and part of Lebanon. And Huckabee said, yeah, let them. They should. And I'm like, again, who are you representing? You're the American ambassador to Israel. What happened to promoting America? But you're 100% just promoting Israel. Things like this, Sean, give me headaches. I'm like, how is this even possible?
You think he even realizes what he's doing?
I think he's so indoctrinated into I'm supporting Israel that he doesn't even think, hey, I'm supposed to be supporting the United States anymore.
Y'all got that?
Yeah.
Do y'all believe that? That you think it's an indoctrination or just over years and years? And I think that's what's going on even with our elders today, So he's a reflection or a mirror of that decades of indoctrination.
He is now an Israeli representative to the U.S., not an American representative to Israel. And again, this stuff just blows my mind. I mean, our government is supposed to be representing the people. We, the people. And let's go on. I'm a Marine. I took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And the Constitution says we, the people, determine what we want, and we elect people that represent our will. Our representatives should be doing what we want them to do. 56% of Americans, according to the Gallup poll, don't want us to be in Iran. We're in Iran. Should we be there? You would think our representatives at least would ask that question. How do you ask that question legally? We have something called the War Powers Act. The War Powers Act says that Well, first, it's been misused. The War Powers Act says that the president can engage troops for one of three reasons, and one of three reasons only. Number one, Congress has declared war. Congress is the only body that can declare war against someone. Number two, Congress has statutorily authorized the president to commit troops. Basically, they've preempted and said, if this happens, you're authorized to respond. We give you that authority. And number three is a direct attack against the United States. None of those three have happened. Yet, we ordered an attack on Iran. Now, twice. Now, let's be clear. Trump's not the first one to do this. Other presidents have done this too. Other presidents have unilaterally sent troops in violation of this clause. But then what happens is the War Power Acts comes into play. And Congress then needs to go to the president and say, you need to explain yourself. You have 48 hours to give us a full report on why you put troops in, what your goal is, and what happened that you thought you could justify this. If the president doesn't give that to Congress within 48 hours, and if Congress doesn't approve, all military has to be removed within 60 to 90 days. That's what the War Powers Act says. Well and good. This is part of our country's checks and balances, right? This is all well and good. February 28th, we attack Iran. A few days later, in the Congress, in the House and the Senate, a proposition is put in that said we need to vote on the War Powers Act to hold the president accountable and find out what's going on. The Senate voted 53-47 against. We're not even going to invoke the War Powers Act. We're not even going to ask the question. The House voted 212 to 219 against. We're not even going to ask the question. We're not even going to hold the president accountable. We're going to let him do whatever he wants. Congress abdicated their power to declare war to the president. That's not what the Constitution says. The Constitution says the only ones able to declare war are Congress, and Congress just abdicated that by voting not to even invoke the War Powers Act. I look at that as a complete abdication of our representatives' responsibilities.
No matter where you're watching the Sean Ryan Show from, if you get anything out
of that.
So do you think they might be making this really simple for people to understand with making Congress, if they committed treason for this, so they could get them all just for this one thing instead of going through everything that they've done?
Well, yeah, I mean, think about it. Go back to the UCMJ, right? They were talking about the UCMJ. The military could be held accountable. Well, we would have to educate the people to understand why first, right?
Yeah, there's just so much education that they're not getting. I mean, this is like tens of thousands of hours of learning. It's amazing how much you have to go through. So to make it easier for people to really get, they would have to just get something to be able to get them out.
Right. So the War Powers Act, officially the War Powers Resolution of 1973, is a federal law that limits the U.S. president's ability to send American military forces into combat without congressional approval. Its core purpose is to ensure that both Congress and the president share responsibility when the United States enters hostilities. It requires consultation with Congress in every possible incident before U.S. forces are introduced into hostilities. Mandates a 40-hour report from the president to Congress after deploying troops into combat in immediate hostilities. Limits authorized military action to 60 days with a possible 30-day withdrawal extension unless Congress declares war or passes an authorization for use of military force. The AUMF allows Congress to demand troop withdrawal if authorization is not granted. Congress passed the law in 1973 over President Nixon's veto after years of frustration with the president's escalating the Vietnam War without formal declarations of war. Lawmakers wanted to prevent future presidents from raging long, undeclared conflicts. The Congress is the only one that has the power to declare war and fund the military.
And they gave up their power to Trump.
Yes.
Which is dangerous. Right? Because they took an oath to the Constitution, not the president.
No.
You get it? So guess what? They violated their oaths of office. They're committing treason against the Constitution. They're turning their back on what they took an oath to support the defend. And they gave up all their power to give Trump plenary power, unchecked.
And that equals tyranny, dictator, right? When you
Yeah.
have
That's
that
a big
much
bag
power.
of dictators.
The whole point of our government is to have checks and balances, right? So that doesn't happen.
That's because the people aren't in control of something else, other entity. And if the president's a puppet, then who controls the puppet?
Exactly.
Who controls the person that has the blackmail on him?
And
every other president, not just
gave
Trump,
money,
but Biden, Obama,
control
fake
the
Biden.
money, blackmail, right?
Yeah, blackmail. Amen.
So, when you say I promised, I didn't promise anything. I don't like these endless wars. This is not an endless war. We've been doing this for 3 months. Much of it has been under the form, a pretty good form of ceasefire. The blockade has been amazing. Our Navy is amazing. Our military is the best in the world. Hey, we took over a very powerful country, Venezuela, a lot of soldiers, big, strong military. We took over Venezuela in a matter of minutes. We destroyed the capability of Iran in a matter of days. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Now I'm going to finish it. But remember, you were in Vietnam. So when you say I promised, I didn't promise anything.
Okay. Let's see what he said, guys. Hold on.
I think he even said, "Read my lips, no new war." Like, I think he even went that far.
I think that was somebody. Who was that?
He said he was going to be peacetime president.
That's like Bush.
No more wars. He was going to make it, right?
That's like Bush. He said, "Read my lips, no new taxes."
Okay.
He wanted the Nobel Peace Prize for not getting into getting wars, right?
Said, oh, he's going to start a war. Said, oh, he's going to start a war because they said I had that personality to start a war. They remember that? Oh, we can't vote for him. He's going to start a war. No, I used my personality that we didn't have to have wars. I was the first president in decades who started no new wars. Who started no new wars. No new wars. No new wars. We don't need the wars, foreign lands, countries you've never heard of, countries that don't even want us there. I was the first president in decades who started no new wars. I was the first president in decades who started no new wars. We will expel the warmongers from our government. You know, we never got into a war with me. I have a great record. We had peace. We had prosperity. We had no wars. We had no wars. That started no wars. We didn't have a war. We will expel the warmongers from our government. We will expel the warmongers from our government. We will expel the warmongers from our government. And we had no wars. When you see all the people that died in these horrible wars in the Middle East and everything else, countries didn't want us. Look at Trump. Just look at this guy. He's going to go to war. He's going to take us. No. Look at me. I'm the one that kept us out of war. You know, I'm the only president that didn't start a war. I didn't start a war. This president, no wars. Started no wars. You're going to end up in a war. Or war or no war. They like a war. They love wars. You know, they love killing people. It's so wonderful. You know, I'm the only president in many, many decades
that didn't start a war. They're the party of endless wars. I was the first president in decades who started no new war. There were wars all over. He said, bring back Trump. It'll all end. It all ended. We had no problem. I'm going to keep you out of wars. I kept you out of wars. We had no wars with Donald Trump as your president. Remember when crooked Hillary Clinton used to say, he's going to get us into a war. Look at him. Look at his rhetoric. I said, no, my rhetoric's going to keep us out of wars. That's what happened.
Alrighty, but instead we endorsed the warmongers, Lady G, and all the Republicans and Democrats on both sides of the aisle are warmongers. They're captured. They have to vote a certain way, right? And it's crazy because all their constituents voted for no wars, no regime change, and then when Congress goes and votes on whether they should continue the war or not, half of them wanted the war. Like, wait, you're not even listening to your constituents.
Yes.
That's why they say they don't represent you; they represent the prey, the people that they have to thank. Those big donors, lobbyists, PACs.
None of them are doing their job.
Wars.
They can
I
stop it.
didn't guarantee no war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars.
Okay, hold on.
First of all, I didn't guarantee no war.
Oh, we should have said, do you guarantee that when he was on stage? You're guaranteeing that. Sorry, it's like getting a car and then you check your warranty and you realize that none of it is guaranteed. They just got you in there to get the car. Then you go to get it repaired and they're like, sorry guys, I didn't have a guarantee in that. I just needed you to buy the car.
Yeah, you bought it after the 50,000 miles. It's like, oh, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, sir.
Yeah, my bad.
You didn't read the fine print, did you?
Wars. First of all, I didn't guarantee no war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars. No more wars. No more.
Yeah, we could go on another 50 hours with that. I've heard him say it each and every time. Right.
I know, multiple times.
Multiple times at every rally. I've watched every rally. So
I used to.
I've watched every rally all the way back from the beginning. First rally I went to was in 2016 at the Woodlands. I waited in a line that was a mile long and I didn't even get in. I come to find out the building was full the second that I even got in the line, that the VIPs were already inside the little small building to see this rally.
Oh, they're not using anybody for crowds.
Yeah, the line was.
Yeah, they keep you in the line so they can show the crowds.
Like the line didn't even move. They were like, building's full. We're like, wait, nobody even moved. Like, was the building full this whole time and you guys didn't tell us?
Yeah.
Like, shit, I could have went home. I said we were in that line. The only thing I got was he drove past us and he was in the limo, right? The HPD around. And then I looked at my GPS to see how far away the building was from where I was at, and it was a mile. And I was standing in line, and there was people behind me in line.
Wow.
All right, let's continue here. So a man calls into Fox News and tells Judge Jeanine Pirro that Trump isn't making America great again. He's making it hate again. And he's tired of it. He's tired of the hate and the division. And using equal circumstances for political purposes. And he said that she should be ashamed of herself. Let me play the clip here.
America great again. Trump has made America hate again. America great again. Trump has made America hate again. And it's this hatred of races. I hear it all the time when I talk to Republicans and they say, oh, I went down to Texas and there are all these Mexicans down there and they're all speaking Spanish. Well, I got news for you. Those weren't Mexicans. Those were the Americans. That guy that went down to El Paso to shoot a bunch of Mexicans, he shot a bunch of Americans. And I'm really tired of this anti-immigrant, anti-people with brown skin rhetoric that's coming out of Fox News, coming out of people like you, and coming out of our president. It's demeaning. It's beneath the office. It's beneath you. You used to be a judge. You know better. It's time that stopped. America great again. Trump has.
Yeah, he brought the hatred out in people.
Yeah, it made hate great again. Like everybody came out and just showed it, and that's why he said it's a mirror. Like
it's a reflection.
Yeah,
You're supposed to be doing self-reflection.
that's what the
right?
poll is about, right? At the Washington Monument, that's what they keep talking about, the polls. It's the reflecting poll.
You know better. It's time that stopped.
Hear that? When
Yeah.
you say stop,
It's time that stops.
it's time
Yeah.
it stops. Got the bullshit.
It's just getting worse.
Got the
and
political
worse.
shit show, the division, the divide and conquer tactics. You're all been blackmailed. You're caught. And let's get to the good part of the show where we get the accountability and justice phase coming.
Yes.
Stop all the hate and division and shit so that we get our country back. All right, here is the ticks. Yeah, we actually have video now of the tick infestation. This is on a farm. There we go.
Hope you guys can see this, but
You'll see him. There you go.
Yeah.
That's it. All right.
that is all ticks. Little small ticks. Disgusting. Just had to get fuel and just got bombarded by them. Hope you guys can see this, but
So he's out in the middle of a field. Looks like.
Tons of ticks.
Yeah, this year I was seeing little baby ticks, which we really don't see normally. The little baby ones are usually bigger by the time they get here, but this year they're little.
Yeah, this says these are gnats. These could be gnats. So, yeah, it's debatable. But
Well, they just don't have their little legs yet, probably. I don't know.
all right, so we're talking about spying, Israel spying. We got Pentagon raised threat level of Israel is spying on U.S. highest level, and then we got this right here.
To this, you guys, this is what I was talking about with the old cars and these junkyards that they're burning down. They don't want you working on your old cars. Listen to what Donald Trump said today.
The job he's done is great. We had the auto industry in yesterday. They don't want people to fix their car. I said, that's strange. I've never heard of that. They have a thing to, nobody's allowed to fix their car. They gave a man 7 years in jail, actually, because he fixed his own car. So I thought we'd do.
Yeah, you have to fact check that. It was only 7 months. So what he's saying here is a little bit of misinformation, disinformation. It's not totally accurate. But the point of the video is what he's fixing to bring up here in a second.
Something about that, but we'll get.
Yeah, what happened was the guy got locked up because he changed the emissions things on a bunch of buses for the county. Right.
Yeah.
Remember that, don't you?
7 years in jail for fixing his own car from Trump's mouth, you guys.
It wasn't his own car. Go look it up. It was for the city, for the county where he was working at, like I said. I just have to say that again.
We'll get it all straight going. Can you believe it? They want a bill that prohibits people from fixing. So if you're mechanically inclined, I grew up, I went to school with some guys that were, in some cases, horrible students, but they could fix an engine blindfolded. They could take a car apart blindfolded, but they weren't too good at arithmetic.
Yeah, but you know better than anyone, Donald Trump. You don't got to be good at school to be good at other things in life.
And other things, but they were great. And so there's a move on to stop people from fixing their car. I didn't understand it. But
when it comes to anything diesel, Troy Lake knows how to fix it.
especially newer EPA-mandated emission systems that seem to be sidelining drivers.
We'd get 200 calls a day. My truck's broke.
From commercial big rigs to school buses and fire trucks, Troy says everyone was breaking down.
The biggest thing I was hearing is the devices or the truck broke down.
They're talking about the emissions part that they were taking on, so the trucks would break down. And the guy got off at 7 months.
And not able to deliver products or not able to get to a fire.
Troy found a workaround.
This is the EGR system. This is one of the things we were turning off.
He tapped into the engine's computer, disabling some of the federally mandated emission systems.
I didn't want to be Robin Hood. I just felt that it was wrong as far as what the government was doing to American people that wanted to work.
When the government caught on, they raided Troy's shop in 2018. But 6 years later, under the Biden administration, he was charged.
See how they raided his shop? It wasn't his personal vehicle. See how Trump said it was his personal vehicle, or even this guy said it. I don't think they're clicking. He worked in a shop.
Charged and pled guilty to conspiracy to violate the Clean Air Act. Now on house arrest, Troy spent 7 months in federal prison.
He got raided and went to prison.
You hear that? 7 months, not 7 years. Trump said 7 years in prison. He only got 7 months. But still, it's still wrong. They found cocaine in the White House and nobody went to jail, guys. This guy changed the thing on his emissions on a vehicle and he goes 7 months in federal penitentiary.
You know what? Hunter Biden is on X now, and he's trying to help people with addiction. Like that's his purpose in life.
Yeah, we watched some of that. He said he's going to run for president.
I didn't make it that far.
Yeah, he's going to run for president. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, but who was it? They were showing in the comments when he was like, they were saying, like about his crack addiction and all that, but he just made jokes out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't learn anything. He's probably I doubt he's
I think his slogan is Biden, give Biden one more crack at it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's going to be the campaign. But anyways, it takes an addict, recovering addict, or someone that has been through it in order to help others.
That's right.
The days of people that have never been down that dark path of helping others that have are over. You can't no longer go get a job and say you're going to help a bunch of addicts and you yourself have never been an addict.
Being an addict is like the least of Hunter's crimes.
Right? Well, I mean, they still haven't
nobody's been to
released
jail.
a laptop, so we don't know. He's saying it's just local crap. But till then, right?
Right.
I mean, we can only assume on a lot of things, but they remember the laptop thing. They never did release it.
No.
Right. You think they would have thrown that out there, right?
Oh hell yeah, the Anthony Weiner laptop.
Yeah. Well,
that's the emails. I mean, Hillary
a
Clinton.
lot of stuff.
33,000 emails. She bleach pitted, destroyed. Yada yada yada. It's a lot of shit. A lot of stuff. Oh, Benghazi, 9/11. That 9/11 Benghazi.
There's a lot of stuff.
9/11 in New York. There was 2 9/11s, Benghazi and New York. Right. Same date.
It's not only unconstitutional, it's most likely treasonous, and that's why just as we thought, it's not only unconstitutional, it's most likely treasonous, and that's why they tried to hide it in the middle of a bill that they didn't expect a bunch of people to read and find out about, and that's exactly why they did it. But look here at Coyote over here on X, bringing out Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution, proving that it requires 2/3 Senate vote for any agreement that binds us to another country. Why is this being allowed to happen? These are people need to be removed from office. Every single person who voted for this should be removed from office at the very minimum. And I believe that they should everyone be at least investigated for treason.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
And that's why they keep calling them our greatest ally, our greatest ally, because that way they don't get charged with treason, aiding and abetting an enemy. And then we fast forward to today or yesterday, and we get this.
Spying on the United States.
And we just talked about this last week, and this goes. I read an article from 2014 where they had charged Israel for being the #1 spy, the person, and we can't spy on them.
No,
Or we get our ship sink.
they do all the intelligence.
Yeah, they don't want you spying on their war crimes, all right? Because they're willing to break international law, like no problem, and they're willing to bomb sailors, U.S. sailors, in rafts. They're willing to watch buildings fall in their into their foundation with 2,000 or 3,000 people in the buildings. Right? They're willing to bomb Pearl Harbor, Oklahoma City bombing. Okay? So on and so on and on and on and on.
They just figure everything's theirs. It's just a matter of time. Like they just have to move the pieces and do what they've got to do for everything to be theirs.
They got checkmated a while back. They just hadn't realized it yet.
Israel has been caught spying on the United States. All of our lives, we've been told that Israel is America's biggest ally. But according to a new report from NBC, the Pentagon raised the threat of Israel spying on the United States to the highest level. Actually, according to current and former diplomats and former national security officials, Israel for years has had a reputation for aggressive espionage, even against the United States. And it's so bad that top US officials often take extra care when traveling to Israel, sometimes using burner phones and computers, and extreme caution when speaking in hotel rooms. Any rational person reading this would ask themselves, how the fuck are they even our allies? Better yet, question 2 has to be, if we know that they're not our allies because they spy on us, why then do Republicans keep introducing bills to integrate their military with ours? Because Republicans in the House of Representatives just passed a $1.15 trillion defense spending bill known as the 2027 National Defense Authorization Act. It's a 505-page bill that on page 9 has Section 224, which would fuse Israel's military with our military by requiring synchronizing cooperative efforts between the United States and Israel, including bilateral defense technology research development, testing, evaluation, integration, and industrial cooperation. And on top of that, there's another bill introduced by Republican Senator of Arkansas, Tom Cotton, called the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2027. That bill is 194 pages long, and on page 121, it literally prohibits even the President of the United States from breaking ties with Israel. The section is literally titled Limitations on Reduction of Intelligence Sharing. And it broadly says, in general, intelligence sharing and related security information exchanges with the government of Israel shall not be suspended, reduced, or otherwise materially limited. And you know the shit is bad when AIPAC is celebrating all of this. On Twitter, AIPAC posted, AIPAC applauds the House and Armed Services Committee for including Section 224. And they also celebrated the additional money being sent to Israel. Quote, the committee also approved $750 million for U.S.-Israel cooperative programs, a $65 million increase over fiscal year 2026, including $500 million for missile defense, $100 million for counter unmanned systems, $100 million for subterranean operations, and an additional $50 million for emerging technologies. And this is where you find out that Israel has been the largest beneficiary of U.S. aid and taxpayer dollars since 1946. We've given them a total of $300 billion since their founding as a country. It's hundreds of billions of dollars more than we've given to any other country. And to this day, we've been sending them $3.8 billion a year, including $500 million per year for missile defense. And that doesn't even include the billions of dollars we've always given them for emergency aid. For example, after what happened on October 7th, we sent them an additional $16.3 billion in emergency aid. And the craziest part about all of this is that the government will always tell you that this money only goes for their military. But what they don't tell you is that the money is really fungible. Meaning, if we're paying for their military, then they can use the money that they were going to use for their military on other shit. Like, for instance, I bet you didn't even know that Israel provides universal healthcare coverage for all citizens and permanent residents. And Israeli citizens also have access to free K-12 education, child allowances, unemployment benefits, and a national pension program. What I'm telling you is, we're the ones really paying for their universal healthcare. Then we're lied to and told in the US, we can't even have universal health care because we don't have the money.
All right, I played that just the other night. We're just playing it again. Bring it back. Bring it back. Here we go. All right, here's all the times Trump said, don't let Obama play the Iran card in order to start a war, in order to get elected. Be careful, Republicans. In order to get elected, Barack Obama will start a war with Iran. I will always say Barack Obama will attack Iran in some form prior to the election.
Be behind.
Remember that I predicted a long time ago that President Obama will attack Iran. And Hillary Clinton wanted to attack Iran too, because of its inability to negotiate properly, not skilled. Remember what I previously said, Obama will someday attack Iran in order to show how tough he is.
Why would he say remember that? Guess something was going to happen. What year was that?
It's the pro ticket, man. What, guys, this is the pro peace ticket.
What year was it?
Huh? 2013, 2012?
Yeah.
All of them? Yeah, going back 10, 15 years. Right here, Obama will someday attack Iran in order to show how tough he is. I guess Trump's showing us how tough he is. Or he wants to show us how tough he is.
Or is it Obama?
I think it's Netanyahu. I think it's the president of the United States of APEC. That's what I think. Yeah, we just heard it from the veterans. We're captured, been captured. Oh, here, check this out. Let me go here. There we go. Oh, let me remove this. There we go. Remember this, Nadine, right?
Yeah.
No, and they'll push, and I'll say no, and they'll push again, and I'll say to them, read my lips. No new taxes.
That's, I think.
I remember that.
And Maury Povich determined that was a lie.
Oh my goodness. And Geraldo.
The lie detector. Yeah. Boy, everybody cheered though, right? Oh, he said no new taxes. He's got my vote. Here we are 34 years later. Which one did you have, Sydney?
That's what you said.
All right, let me get this one right here.
It is back hot and popping, and reality has finally set in for Trump. It was over a week ago. Iran told Israel, if you blow fucking one building up in Beirut, Lebanon, we are going to come over there. We're going to kick you in the fucking teeth. Remember, Trump got on the phone with Bibi. He's like, you crazy fucking bastard. Don't you fucking shoot anything into Beirut. You turn the fuck around, right? And Bibi Netanyahu was like, we do what we fucking want. Well, Israel then managed to keep their dick in their pants for a whole week. But last night, they just couldn't fucking hold back any longer. They finally fucking launched a missile into Beirut, Lebanon, and Iran said, fuck you motherfuckers. Iran launched a wave of 10 waves of missiles into Israel. Only Israel. This is just between Iran and Israel now. They didn't hit us. The targets that they fucking impacted in Israel, U.S. intelligence says, for Iran to even know what those targets were and then hit them, they're like, holy shit, Iran has got their shit together. Israel freaking the fuck out. Their fucking foreign ministry cabinet, they're all on fucking X right now. We gotta blow shit up. Iran has to burn tonight. Bibi Netanyahu's out there. We gotta have a huge attack on Iran right fucking now. Bibi Netanyahu just called Trump. They are on the phone. Bibi Netanyahu's telling, we gotta hit Iran right now. Trump actually fucking said the right thing for once. Trump said, yeah, you do what you gotta do, but we ain't fucking helping. Don't fucking hit them. We should have some peace talks. Trump told him, don't hit Iran. Let's negotiate now. Doesn't sound like Israel's gonna play ball. They're all over X. Bibi Netanyahu went right to X. They're gonna fucking hit Iran all their own. Now we see what happens. Does Trump actually hold to his word? Does Iran actually go out on their fucking own? Does Israel go out on their own and try to attack Iran? That would be fucking hilarious. Israel has zero chance of fucking even surviving a battle with Iran without the US's fucking help. So if they launch shit, what does Trump do? Does Trump actually fucking hold us back? Because reality might finally have set in for Trump. Our economy is on the fucking line here. Gas prices through the fucking roof already. But the only thing that has been holding those gas prices down is Trump has been selling our strategic oil reserve on the open market at a loss. Problem with that is our strategic oil reserves are running out. Experts say we only have 3 to 4 weeks left before we start to see shortages. That isn't just the price goes up. That means no gas at the pumps. That's what that means. And then fucking prices through the fucking roof, right? That is 1973 shit. So Trump may have finally fucking figured this out, because the straits, we gotta have those motherfuckers open right fucking now, because if you're out on the 4th of July and there's no gas, that would be fucking riots. Like, that will be the end of fucking Trump. Trump's approval rating's already at 35%, so it might be a good time to start doing the opposite of what you have been doing, Trump. So now tonight, we see what happens. Does Israel actually go at Iran all on their own? Does the U.S. actually hold back? By the morning, we should fucking know what's going to happen here. But thank God, Trump has finally had some fucking come to Jesus moment with some semblance. He should have told Israel to fuck all the way off, and you better not fucking dare do a goddamn thing. But I guess I will settle for the slightest of silver linings of Trump saying, do whatever you gotta do, we ain't fucking helping. We'll know by morning. Good luck to you all. Long live the Republic.
Right?
Yeah.
So, right? I mean,
There's nothing going on. I just checked. It's 3:15 a.m. there.
3:30 in the morning. Not a soul in sight. The town was looking like a ghost town. That's Garth Brooks starting to roll. 3:30 in the morning with the 33 comms. Here we go.
People, it's your boy PokeChop, and I have an update for you. I know a lot of you guys found my account because of the post that I made talking about the Israeli foreign government essentially paying off churches here in the United States to sell their congregations' data. I let you guys know that my church was on the list. Now, the company that is doing this in the United States is called Show Faith by Works LLC, and they are essentially going after the largest congregations, the 2,000 largest churches in the United States, and attempting to get them to sign a marketing contract with this company. But the problem with this is, although they're packaged to churches as a Christian marketing company, the company that is actually paying them to do this is not a company. It's the Israeli foreign government, specifically the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Now, I found out that my church was on this list and I was distraught. I was heartbroken, essentially. So many of you saw my update where I was able to ask the pastor's son about this, and today, after 4 weeks, I was finally able to ask the head pastor. Now, I did record this interaction just in case I did not like the answer. So here it is. The church that I go to is Church Unlimited in South Texas, Corpus Christi to be specific. Now, Church Unlimited is one of the largest congregations in my city and the surrounding area, numerous campuses. So when I saw this name on the list, it is understandable that it was heartbreaking. I was heartbroken for the city, for the congregation, for the people, okay? Finally, though, I was able to start to talk to the person who started the church, and what he told me was, essentially, first and foremost, if he was ever gonna receive money from a company through the church, he would let the church know. Immediately, I could like breathe, okay? Then he went on to let me know that they had been essentially approached by a geofencing company, but that he hates the idea of predatory advertising by a church to people. And so he said he doesn't understand the place of geofencing, like you move to a new neighborhood and you get an ad letting you know there's a church in your area. But he hates the idea of essentially predatorily propagandizing individuals through the church, and he said he is completely against selling the church's data. Now, he was completely forthcoming with me that he does not really understand the science or technology behind this, but his answer was period, blank, end of story. They are not taking money from a foreign government, they are not signing a deal with a geofencing company, and there will not be geofencing at our church. Now, the fact that my church was approached for something like this, for geofencing specifically, is terrifying. So it is very important that if your church is on this list, you speak to your congregation. Just because they are on the list does not mean they have accepted the deal, but there is hundreds, if not thousands, of churches across the US who would take that deal, no questions asked. Christian marketing company representing Israel, paying pastors $250,000 cash. So if you are in South Texas, specifically Corpus Christi or the greater area, Church Unlimited, from what I can tell, seems like a safe space for you and your user data. Now, over the course of the conversation, he did let me know that he does pray for Israel and everybody involved in the war. He also did let me know that he does support the place because of the ties that it has to our faith, but that he does not always agree with what the government does there. So he agrees with the place, not the government. He said, just because I support the place does not mean that I'm Jewish, want to be Jewish, or want my people exposed to Jewish propaganda. So with that being said, hopefully this was the update that you guys were waiting for. I hope this was good enough for you. I really am satisfied with his response. Because of this, I feel safe, both morally and in regards to my family's actual physical safety of our data to continue to attend this church. The fact that they were approached and chose no speaks much more to me than if they had just not been approached yet. Please share this video with your people so they understand what's going on in the world. Please talk to your church and make sure that they are not going to do this. Please feel called by your faith. Do not allow people to be sold out from your congregation for money from a foreign government. Proverbs 31:8-9 says, "Speak for those who cannot speak for themselves. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy." The Israeli foreign government is targeting people through their church because they know people who are trying to find Christ are in a position of hurt and pain. These are the people that they can propagandize the easiest, those who need the most help. Speak up for those who cannot. Share this video with your people so they understand what's going on in our country and in their community. And as always, prepare yourself, protect yourself, and don't tell nobody about it.
We got this right here. I don't know if you got anything on geo tracking, but the churches, they did this at the Charlie Kirk Memorial as well, I recall. Remember the 250,000 people they geo tracked?
Yes.
All right. So geotracking in U.S. churches, public records, and contacts. Recent public filings and investigative reports have revealed that some U.S. churches, especially in the western states, Arizona would be one, like around Turning Point, have been listed as targets of a large-scale geofencing campaign involving location-based digital tracking. Covert geofencing campaigns, a Sworn Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA, filing on September 27, 25, by Show Faith by Works LLC, a California-based company registered as a foreign agent on the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, disclosed what it called the largest Christian church geofencing campaign in U.S. history. The 86-page DOJ filing lists hundreds of specific churches in California, Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, Texas, Utah, and Wyoming as targets. The plan involved geofencing the boundaries of major churches and Christian colleges during worship time, using location data to trigger messages on worshipers' mobile devices. The stated goal was to combat low American evangelical Christian approval of the nation of Israel and promote pro-Israel messaging, including anti-Palestine content. The campaign was funded with $3 million, $3.25 million over 5 months, plus $835,000 for equipment. Purposes and methods, geofencing technology works by detecting when a mobile device enters a defined geographic area. Imagine like Palantir, they have everything like a fenced in, like a certain
They did.
location.
I could have sold that the last newspaper I worked at. I didn't believe in it. I told him, no, I'm not going to sell this, because you walk into another like car dealership and then the opposite, like a Ford, a commercial would come on instead of a Chevy. Like it's messed up. It's not good to be able to track people like that.
Right. We also have the new EAS system going into place right now. You can look that up for your state and see if they're installing the new EAS system in your state. They're already doing it in Australia right now, and in different states as we talk. And they got to be done by October. So purposes and methods of geofencing: identify worshipers' devices inside the church premises, flood them with pre-approved messages during the service. They got ads. They target ads, text, or in-app notifications. In this case, the filings indicate the system would. Go ahead.
iHeartRadio was the one that we could have done it with. So iHeartRadio is involved.
Church and denominational reactions. Several U.S. churches, including United Methodist congregations of Texas, have publicly criticized the campaign as propaganda that contradicts their social principles and values. United Methodist Board of Church and Society called the ads anti-Palestinian and inconsistent with their stance on Palestinian self-determination. The Baptist General Convention of Texas has also condemned the effort and is urging U.S. government action. Legitimate church use of geofencing. It is important to note that the geofencing is also used by churches for legitimate outreach. Case studies show that some congregations use it to target nearby residents with relevant messages, increase awareness of service and events, and drive in-person visits through targeted ads and retargeting. Key takeaways. We have covert geofencing of churches has been documented in public DOJ filings involving location tracking and targeted messaging. The campaigns are linked to foreign government influence efforts and have drawn strong opposition from some religious groups. Legitimate church use of geofencing is common for community engagement, but is distant from the covert part of it. Politically charged campaigns reported in the filings. There's no separation of church and state. State is trying to get all up in the church so they can control the congregation and have them vote. As they're voting, their biggest voting block is the evangelical Christians, and they need them to vote a certain way. Okay? That's what happens when you allow politicians into your church.
Right.
And politics into your church. Worldly shit.
The UFO disclosure is not what you think. You're watching everyone cheer because high-level political figures are threatening to finally declassify the UFO files. You think the establishment is panicking. You think it's a massive victory for truth. You are actually watching a masterclass in psychological capture. I'm going to reveal the exact hidden exopolitical operation being rolled out right in front of your eyes. But before I expose the endgame of the synchronized narrative, you must first understand the reality of the forces delivering the message. Is the government telling the truth that these crafts exist? Yes. Is the entire mainstream disclosure movement a meticulously engineered psyop? Absolutely. If you study the foundational exopolitical research of Nadine or the subquantum physics of W.R. Schoch, you discover a very uncomfortable truth. The political theater we see is not a glitch in the matrix. Major players operate as proxies for competing off-world factions. The Pleiadian Anunnaki, sometimes called the Tall Whites or the Olympians, who are currently waging a multi-dimensional turf war against rival deep state factions. They are not fighting to set you free. They are fighting over who gets to act as the landlord of the human energy farm. So why the sudden rush to talk about UFOs and non-human intelligence? Deep research that I've conducted and others has warned us about this specific agenda for decades. It is the final phase of a coordinated psychological blueprint. They have spent 50 years conditioning your mind with Hollywood narratives, engineered abduction stories, and controlled whistleblowers. The ultimate strategy is to manufacture an external threat or a staged benevolent rescue using ultra-real holographic projections, atmospheric plasma tech, and advanced black-budget military drones that they want you to think are from another galaxy. But why go through all the trouble of staging a space war? Because the real invasion is always done through consent. They cannot take your soul by force. They need you so terrified of the sky, or so desperate for a savior from a galactic federation, that you willingly hand over your sovereignty to a centralized, AI-driven global authority. They want people begging for those digital IDs, biometric surveillance, and synthetic brain chips, all under the disguise of interstellar safety. For the human revival, here is your override code. There is no external savior coming. The political messiahs, the disclosure agents, the channeled ascended masters, they're all false light traps designed to harvest your emotional energy, what conscious pioneer Robert Monroe called loosh. The ultimate threat to their synthetic matrix isn't weapons. It is your biology. You possess the organic blueprint of the 12-strand DNA diamond sun DNA. And if you have heavy metals blocking your antenna, then you need to remove them, regulate your nervous system, and refuse to feed their grid. And let your electric biofield become a scalar weapon that burns our holographic space opera to the ground. Stop waiting for disclosure from the people who built the cage. You are the disclosure. Drop an emoji in the comments if you refuse their script. Hit that follow button, and let's reclaim our voltage.
My power.
Right? You're you. You're you. You're it. Right? Keep wanting to give it over to something external. That's what we keep messing up.
Who needs to hear this? But herbalism isn't going to heal your body. That's actually not the point of herbalism. We are so used to our modern medical system that gives you a pill for this and a pill for that. Herbalism is different. It works with your body to bring your body back to balance. And then your body does the healing.
With your body heals itself.
Yeah, it's not a one time and done.
Yeah, it takes a while. I mean, natural takes a while, but it's worth it. The AIDS.
Yeah, you don't have all the side effects.
Most people have no idea there's a surveillance network being built above their head right now. Police drones connected to AI cameras, license plate readers, real-time crime centers. And this is already live in dozens of cities. Now, Colorado just expanded a drone network that works alongside flock cameras and a real-time crime center. And here's how it works. A call comes in. A drone launches before an officer even arrives. It covers entire blocks, sees things an officer on the ground can't, then feeds information back into the network. Now, this isn't about one drone. It's about the network where every new tool gets connected to the last one. First came the cameras, then the license plate readers, then the real-time alerts. Now it's eyes in the sky, flock cameras, crime centers, AI analysis, drone networks. One layer at a time, one upgrade at a time, one city at a time until the infrastructure is everywhere. And by then, it won't feel new. It'll feel normal. Is your city next? Search drone program in your city name. You might be surprised what's already in the air.
Program.
Yeah, I know they got them out here. This one lady said they called 911 and they said the drone got there before the cops did. I was like, holy shit. Isn't that crazy?
You guys are asking, you're like, Tommy, how is this possible? How can they keep building these data centers? And you're right. We never voted for it or anything. Well, it's because big tech companies are paying off local politicians to keep their mouths shut before they even lay a brick or pave down anything. And guess what? I got the receipts. It's called the NDA playbook. Companies like Google, Meta, and Amazon are forcing mayors and city councils to sign non-disclosure agreements. It's standard operating procedure. They legally bind your elected officials from telling you who is buying the land, how much of your water they're going to need and drain, and how much of that power grid they're going to suck up. Look at Columbia, Alabama. The mayor signed a secrecy agreement with a data center developer without even telling his own city council. He just did it. And Bessemer, the mayor and city attorney signed NDAs for a thing called Project Marvel, a $14 billion data center. And then when the media asked for the documents, the mayor said, and I quote, "I can't say anything because I signed an NDA." Convenient, right? And notice where they're building these things, all right? Rural, unaccompanied, uncorporated, county land. Why? Because it bypasses city council approval, zoning votes, and public scrutiny. They know rural countries are easier to just roll over. But what happens when the town actually fights back? Let's take Saline Township in Michigan. The community voted a 4-1 to reject a 575-acre, $16 billion data center. You know what the developer did? He sued the town, literally, and then he started construction anyway. In Festus, Missouri, the city council snuck a $6 billion deal through a closed session to level 360 acres of woodland. The residents found out and literally ousted half the city council staff the next election. They are hiding behind fake code names, secret contracts, and bought and paid for local politicians to steal your resources, and you're footing the bill. The receipts don't lie, people, and guess what? Part 4 is next.
It took money.
See, that's the video that the news place that I work on to get truth out. They won't let me add that to make a post. They won't let me add that guy. I tried the other day.
So we're up to 101,809 cameras now. It goes up a few hundred every day. Keep in mind, there's a big crew of people that wake up every morning and they got a flock van and they're running around every day. Just like, remember when the cable first came out and they had all the cable guys all over town, you seeing them in the vans, installing it, getting everybody set up, and it took years to get to where we're at now, where everybody has it. Kind of like where we're at now. Every day you look at it, there's 2,000 more cameras, 2,000 more customers, 2,000 more people that got cable or whatever it is. All right, so we're 101,809 every day. So it went up about 100 today. I do a little screenshot every day to keep track of it, but it's climbing faster than the national debt. The surveillance state is not stopping. It's actually expanding pretty quick. They're probably looking for flock installers.
Wait till the guys start. You had a video about one of the guys going after the flock guy. And the flock guy didn't want him to take a picture of his license plate. He's like, dude,
Yeah.
You got pictures of everybody.
Yeah, that's Jeff. He's down in Florida, right? Yeah, you had that interaction with that guy, yeah. He didn't like his license plate.
No, he just doesn't get it.
So it's crazy what people will do for a paycheck without even asking, man. How is this going to affect the people? But hey, it's called flock safety, right? So it's got to be for our safety.
CEOs are the monsters of all this. They're the monsters. That's where you're going to find the devil. But yet they're never put out in the public eye. And they keep demoralizing more and more and desensitizing. Oh, go get pregnant. We'll just scoop the baby out. Don't worry about it. That's your right. Everything's a debate and it's a sales pitch in a political forum. Since when is humanity political? I'll tell you, since we started trusting them to control our lives. So that's why we keep getting more demoralized. The CEOs are the monsters of all this. They're the monsters.
Did he look like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the movie, the Terminator?
Yeah, he does.
I mean, is this not the look we're going for here?
Yeah.
Are they trying to tell us something or what? Like, this is that time? Remember that movie? Dude, you can make this car at a junior high fabrication shop, trade shop. They had little trade shops in junior high, carpentry, woodwork, wood class. Make this shit.
Oh, that picture of Madonna looking like an alien is circling around again in the news. On the news site. Do you remember that?
Looking like an alien? Well, that's not even Madonna. She's already been replaced or something.
Yeah.
Gone.
Did you see her? She's like, 80 years old now, and she's trying to go over top of some kind of plastic partition between her and the audience or something. It was so funny. Felt bad.
all our balls. I think we don't have power as the average American people. Congress, they do what they want. They inside, they do whatever they want. And there's nothing we can do about it. We should, I mean, there is, but ain't nobody really ready for that life right now. So we let Congress and the government do what they want to do. That's all that is. If we really want to change, the American people could create change. If we really wanted it, if we wanted to put feet to the fire, we could do that. We're just not, the average person's not ready for that life right now. We're comfortable. Lie to me all you want, I don't care. Abuse me, I don't care. I could stop it, but I'm comfortable.
Besides, the Knicks are playing the Spurs tonight, game 3.
Yeah, everyone's just too comfortable still.
We got major NBA Finals games right now. And then we got the NFL coming up.
Didn't you? Oh, good Lord.
Football.
Did you guys see that video with the guy made of all of those guys in New York? And he's like, imagine if all these people were fighting human trafficking.
Right?
There were so many people. It looked like one of those, like the Albania, that video. Like all these people out there, like just partying and gyrating and stuff instead of figuring stuff out.
Here they are. They'll show up for this basketball game.
Yeah.
I guess this is the protesting in front of Trump Tower. So this must have been last night, unless it's dark right now in New York, is it? So this is the New Yorkers. So this is so tonight, I guess Trump's going to be in the Knicks game. So they had to increase security. So everybody in New York's pissed off now because now they got to go through extra security just to get in the building, and the tickets are $5,000 for the cheapest ticket. And it shut down also the tailgating locations where people go and watch the game around that area as well. So that pissed the New Yorkers off. And then in the boroughs, different boroughs, they shut them down. The game party, whatever they have when they all get together at a bar and they watch the game.
Yeah, it says no bags, no watch parties at Madison Square Garden with Trump attending Game 3 of NBA Finals.
No watch party, that's it.
Yeah, and no bags. You can't bring anything in.
Shit.
There's a guy with his bag.
He's going to have to put his bag up.
Oh, well, if he's a cop, he can bring the bag in.
It's 30911. All right. It's getting a little spicy.
Indeed.
A little spicy. And it's barely Monday. It's going to be an interesting week, guys. So do the best you can to not give all that your energy and your illusion. Find something else and do it.
Yeah.
Let that shit pass. Some people have to go through that. You don't have to. Shit's weird, man, right now. It really is.
Just pay attention to what's going on in your community. That's where you can do something.
Love and light. Yeah, have a good rest of your night.
Good night, everybody.
Let's get the flock out of here. Get that flock out. That's going to be a new chance. It's going to be a full chance.
silence, there's a tremble in the ground. The walls that stood for ages are beginning to come down. People see the cracks appearing in the stories they've been told, while others hold on tighter to a world that's growing old. Some still watch the stage lights caught up in the endless show, clinging to the comfort of the only thing they know. Though they feel it in their spirit, though they see it with their eyes, they keep reaching for the shadows while the old illusion dies. This is the shift, can you feel it in the air? A change is moving through us, waking hearts everywhere. Though the road is rough and winding and the night seems far too long, we're remembering who we are. Shift is here among us, and the best is yet to come. I see the pain around me and the weight people conceal. Some are angry, some are broken, some don't know just what to feel. Some lash out from fear and sorrow, some are frozen by the unknown, while others hear a quiet calling deep within their soul. They know something's changing, though they cannot name it yet. A feeling in their spirit they could never quite forget. So they gather what is precious and they do the best they can, trusting there's a greater purpose hidden in the plan. This is the shift, can you feel it in the air? A change is moving through us, waking hearts everywhere. Though the road is rough and winding and the night seems far too long, we're remembering who we are and we'll find where we belong. The music will play again, the sun will rise once more, and life will fill the empty halls that echoed before. Hold on through the storm, there's beauty still to come. The shift is here among us, and the best is yet to come. The old leaves with resistance, every season has its end, but every falling leaf makes room for life to bloom again. What was lost can be recovered, what was broken can be healed, when we stop denying what our hearts already feel. No, it's not the end of living, it's the ending of a phase, and beyond the clouds awaiting are much brighter days. We'll rediscover meaning, we'll remember why we're here, and the songs we've long forgotten will return for all to hear. This is the shift, and the dawn is drawing near. The future's being written by the ones who persevere. Though the path is filled with questions and uncertainty remains, there's a fire burning